Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Friday, December 26th here. This video isn't going up to the 28th on Sunday morning. So I'm just doing two things here about Trump. DOGE was a dishonest sham that still hurt our country. I used to constantly be mocking MSNBC and CNN. That's how bad Trump is doing, that they can actually just report shit and don't have to make shit up, right? They still make shit up. They still suck. But they don't have to, right? And a new report illuminates how the now shuttered Department of Government Efficiency was a false advertising. Well, we know this is true because when's the last time you heard anybody talk about DOGE? Never. They don't talk about it. They don't talk about it because it absolutely was a joke, right? And remember, they had a bad breakup where Elon Musk said he's not going to release the list because he's on the list, and that turned out to be true. They've since kissed and made up, but not really, right? And he spent $300 million or something on Trump's candidacy and wanted some kind of position. He got it. And now DOGE is an absolute joke. But what did come out of this, which I believe to be authentic, or we know to be authentic because it's numbers, is that Elon Musk said that we're paying $1 trillion in interest every year, and our total budget is $8 trillion, $700 trillion, $7 trillion in spending, and another $1 trillion in interest. Our income is $5 trillion. So that's why our deficit goes up by $3 trillion a year. And so if you're paying $1 trillion of interest every fucking year, you're fucked, right? That's a lot of interest, but that means your debt is really high and it's going to be over $40 trillion soon. I haven't checked it, right? So let's read the article here a little bit. Perhaps nothing so succinctly defines the brief and terrible existence of President Trump's Department of Governmental Efficiency, which appeared to shutter quietly in November as a deception. A comprehensive New York Times analysis found some startling data on DOGE that indicates its claims of having slashed government spending were packed with false advertising. According to the Times, DOGE, the 13 largest claims about the cuts were all incorrect, and many were totally false. Okay, so even if they said that the Midas had saved taxpayers $7.9 billion. I don't know what they said was the total amount of money, but his goal was $1 trillion, and we know they didn't get it because the deficit isn't going down at all; it's going up. It's going up more than it normally would, right? So Trump is spending money like hand over fist, and they slashed a lot of different programs that are probably going to hurt the American people. But whatever their claims are here, they're not true. We can tell they're not true. Well, let me just say this. I want to remind myself to put in, there's a couple of quotes from Elon Musk about DOGE, so I need to insert those memes here.
The overall goal here with the DOGE team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. The interest rates, just the interest on the national debt, now exceeds the Defense Department spending. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending over $1 trillion on interest. If this continues, the country will become de facto bankrupt. It's not an optional thing, it is an essential thing. That's the reason I'm here. And taking a lot of flack, and getting a lot of death threats, by the way. I'd like to stack them up, But if we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done. And I'm confident at this point, knock on wood, knock on my wooden head, there's got a lot of wood up there, that we can actually find $1 trillion in savings. That would be roughly 15% of the $7 trillion budget.
Okay, so he's so weird, but what he said there is if DOGE fails, we're fucked, which we're already fucked. I knew we were already fucked before, any of this stuff came out because I knew about the fucking money here, right? It's not the deficit, but every year our budget's going to be $8 or more trillion. It's going to grow. It's going to be $9 trillion or whatever. and our income is $5 trillion, and then there's unfunded liabilities like Social Security that aren't even a part of the fucking budget. And so economically, we're fucked. And he's admitting it right here. So I saved this meme because I knew at some point DOGE was going to be like, it didn't work, right? Because of course it wasn't going to work. And then at the same time, like within days of this, before this happened, Trump got into it with Zelensky, and he talks about World War III.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
So within days of each other, Elon Musk said that we're financially fucked, and if we don't do something, this doesn't work, we're fucked. And it didn't work. Like it's like an asteroid hitting the planet, and they sent some fucking miners up there, to destroy it. And it didn't work, and now it's going to hit the planet. And then Trump talks about, well, World War III is on the table with Zelensky. And so, this happened. Like this is, these are both things that are there, and nothing has changed. Like we're closer to World War III, and we're closer to economic collapse, and those two things go hand in hand, right? And when those things happen, then you have systemic collapse, and then a whole reality that none of us can even contemplate what that means to you personally with economic collapse in World War III. Like, what's the world going to be like then? People can't even imagine what it's going to be like. There's all these things that when they hit, you're going to be all like, yeah, that's our new reality. That's our life right now. All right, let's get back to it here. Okay. So you see here, the last time I looked at this, which maybe was 4 or 5 months ago, I usually look at it quite often, it's at 38 trillion, 528 billion. So $38.5 trillion. It's going to be up to 42, I think, by the time it's another 3 every year. So it'll be up to 41 a year from now. This will be up to 41, and then it'll probably be close to like 47 or so when Trump's out of office. So this isn't helping. See, this is a right-wing site. This is a site that's pro the right wing, that's maybe libertarian, and they're trying to push the DOGE thing here. I mean the tariff. They say per taxpayer, there's generating $3,247 per person, but your prices are going up way more than that per person, right? Because of the tariffs and other things, inflation. But if DOGE was working, this would not be going up so quickly, or would be going up at the same rate. There is $5 trillion, 278 billion dollars worth of tax revenue, and that's again not enough to pay for the $8 trillion in spending, and then there's off the book spending. What they don't put here anymore, they used to put it when Biden was here, is the unfunded liabilities. It used to be down here, and this is total hidden wealth. I'm not sure what this is, but they've changed this up here with the stock market and some of these other things. But none of these things are. I think they have the land value at 25 trillion. So if your land is only 25 trillion, all of American land, and this is your total debt, plus there's another 100. This is total U.S. debt. This is national debt. This is our collective debt, is 105 trillion, and credit card debt is over 1.3 trillion, right? All these things. Total interest paid is $5 trillion. And so if you understand, this is credit default swaps, right? And derivatives market, this is 700 trillion. Like, where are you going to come up with $2 quadrillion? That's like $2 quadrillion of debt. And the unfunded liabilities is like 240 trillion to pay for all the things that we have to, like, the government has to shell out for, like, Social Security and shit like that. But there's no money to do it. It's not in the budget. So, like, there's way more debt here than you can imagine. And none of it's working. Of course, DOGE was a complete disaster. And so now you know that this was the first president that tried to tackle the debt in a number of years. And he's been adding to it. I mean, he publicly claimed to be trying to tackle the debt. He didn't really do it. It was all a farce. But at least he and Elon Musk were talking about it. And Elon Musk said, if we continue going down this road, we're going to be bankrupt. You guys saw that in the memes that I put in there. Hopefully I remember to put the memes when I do the editing. But, Elon Musk said it and fucking, and it's happened. So he said if we don't start taking out $1 trillion a year, and we'd still be increasing our debt by $2 trillion, even if DOGE took out $1 trillion per year in savings, which it couldn't do. So we now know that we can't trim the budget in any sufficient way. We know even if we did trim the budget, we can't bring it down enough to stop increasing the debt. The best thing you could do is slow it down, and we know there's no solution. Trump has thrown up his tariffs. This is, this is big stuff that's happening, right? I mean, our defense and our war budget is $933 trillion, and how much of that's going to a billion? It's almost $1 trillion, and there's unfunded aspects to that. It's more than this, and all the money that we're giving to Israel and weapons and shit like that. I mean, there's just too much debt here, and there's no way to pay it off. There's no way to make sense of it either. There's no way to even calculate a budget. Like, you couldn't get on a plan to fix this. There's no economic genius out there who could create a plan to fix this. And the big problem is this down here, the currency default swaps, which is $700 trillion. It's being traded like it's wealth. People trade this bad debt, and it's used as currency. So if you pay off that debt, then they can't use it as trades. They can't use it as a way to, generate income. And so the whole thing's fucked. Like, you can't, if you paid all the debt off, all of our wealth is debt. So there would be no money. There'd be no currency. Most of the currency is debt-based. So, I mean, so you can't even pay the debt off, and because it's like, it's our wealth is our debt, which is backward. That's demonic. Okay, so there was that. And I probably should have led with this, but the inflation thing seemed like more important, but this is what I really wanted to cover. And inflation has gone up 19% in the past 4 years. So that's Biden and Trump. And, I don't know how much over the past 10 years I could look into it, but 19%, 20%. And so for most people, that's well over $3,000 a year, based on how much money they spend per year, right? So this is our president. I really want to talk about this. Merry Christmas to all, including the many sleazebag who love Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it's funny because this guy's so fucked in the head, right? And the situation is so fucked up, right? Now, think about this. This is our president writing like this, and it's just become normal. I love this when Trump did it during his first term. Because, I've known America as a joke, and the politicians are sucky and scummy, and they're just all this performative bullshit and all this stuff like these guys have served the country so well, and these politicians and these people, and they're all worthless pieces of shit. And Trump wasn't hiding that. But now it's grown old, and it's really bad. Like, I mean, it's the truth. Trump represents the truth of these scumbags. But, this is how this guy is, and this is embarrassing and, not how any sort of leader should act. And he gives these happy Thanksgivings and Merry Christmases, and then he just goes into a rant about something that he's butthurt about. Merry Christmas to all, including the many sleazebags who love Jeffrey Epstein, gave him bundles of money, went to his island, attended his parties, and thought he was the greatest guy on earth, only to drop him like a dog when things got too hot, falsely claimed that they had nothing to do with him and didn't know him, said he was a disgusting person, and then blame, of course, President Donald J. Trump, who then blamed Donald Trump, who was actually the only one who did drop Epstein, and long before it became fashionable to do so. All right, none of that shit is true. Trump was good buddies with him. I mean, this isn't about Epstein. This is about him posting this fucked up Christmas message and how triggered he is about this. But everybody should know, Trump said he was a terrific guy, and I'd known him for 15 years, and he was a terrific guy. He liked to party, and they're seen at parties together. He liked beautiful women, as much as Trump did, but he likes them on the young side. That's all you need to know. And there's a lot more to know about this guy. But, there's the Christmas wish he gave to him. And when he did drop Jeffrey Epstein, some say it was about a land deal that Trump took from Jeffrey Epstein or some kind of shit like that, billionaire bullshit. Or what Trump said it was about is Jeffrey Epstein was hiring people from his club, poaching people from his club, right? So it was not about, Trump had no problem with Jeffrey Epstein being into young girls because he praised Jeffrey Epstein and he knew about it, right? And, he knows these things, but he's so fucking delusional. I mean, he's going senile and he's gone mad with power and he's losing his shit because it's, this thing's crumbling around him. And he's totally triggered by this. And this isn't, he's deciding to cover Jeffrey Epstein's, people and excuse himself and act like a victim, right? In his Christmas message. This disgusting person, and then blame, of course, President Donald J. Trump, who was actually the only one who did drop Epstein, and long before it became fashionable to do so. When their names got brought out in the ongoing radical left witch hunt, plus one low-life Republican, in quotes, Massey, and it was revealed that they are Democrats all, there will be a lot of explaining to do, much like there was when it made public history that Russia hoax was fictitious, a total scam, and had nothing to do with Trump. All right, so here's the thing about it, right? Why didn't you release all these documents? You said you were worried that it was going to hurt some people. And you were worried it was going to hurt Democrats? You said that people are going to be hurt by this, not the victims. That there was going to be famous people Trump knew, and he didn't want to see all these people hurt. He said it before the election. He said it multiple times. He said it to Marjorie Taylor Greene when she said she talked to him. And that was his excuse the whole time. He didn't want to see innocent people get hurt by their association with Jeffrey Epstein. But now it says it's all Democrats who, and why are they pushing for it to be released? And, and why are you guys withholding documents even now, right? And so, he's a child, like a fucked up child. The failing New York Times, among many others, were forced to apologize for their bad and faulty election reporting, even to the point of losing many subscribers due to their highly inaccurate fake coverage. Now the same losers are at it again, only this time so many of their friends, mostly innocent, will be badly hurt and reputationally tarnished. But sadly, that's the way it is in the world of corrupt democratic politics. Enjoy what may be your last Merry Christmas, President Donald Trump. What do you mean your last Merry Christmas? Is this just to them? Are you wishing these fucking scumbags a Merry Christmas in a douchey fucking way? Like, this is the president's message on Christmas. This is his fucking message. And so, this is how fucked it is. Like, this is normal. People have just accepted this as, acceptable behavior. All right, so that's Trump's. Okay. One of my viewers sent me this video of a very emotional person who had just figured out that SpongeBob's address on his driver's license, 124 Conch Street, Bikini Bottom, was on Epstein Island, which the AI overview has said the claim that address of SpongeBob SquarePants' driver's license is address of a building on Jeffrey Epstein's island is false. This widely debunked conspiracy theory that circulated on social media in 2020. The guy could have been bullshitting. He was over the top emotionally in a very annoying way. It took him a long time to get to the point. But as soon as he brought up address, I'm like, I bet it's going to be on Epstein Island. Like, it became pretty obvious where he was going with the thing. And social media place claims that Google Maps search for 124 Conch Street in the real world would point to a location on Epstein Island. This appears to have been a possible briefly due to Google Maps allowing users to add places, which someone likely did for the fictional address as a prank. Which, I know this happens, and I don't know why they let people do that. I'm glad they stopped. There was someone had put some kind of a bar near our house. Like not, like our neighbors, one of the neighbors' kids or something. But now if you search for Bikini Bottom Grill and Car Wash, which is in the Bahamas, which is kind of even weirder. Like I searched for the address there, and I don't know where Jeffrey Epstein's island is, somewhere near the Virgin Islands, but there's a Bikini Bottom Grill and Car Wash, so that's what you get when you search for it now, which isn't, I mean, it's still kind of close to the. This is Nassau. Why do I not know how to pronounce that? You know, and that's the place it does. So, and I searched for. It wasn't Bikini Bottom Grill and Car Wash. I searched for 124 Con Street, Virgin Islands, and they redirected it. See, if I search for this under maps, they redirect it, right? So there is no place. So that's what they say, Bikini Bottom Grill and Car Wash, and they put SpongeBob SquarePants up there. So, I mean, look at what I've been reduced to. The big story is, this is my life now. So, all right, so there's that. Okay, today is Saturday, December 27th. I'm scrolling through Facebook, drinking my hot cocoa. Well, I was scrolling through a couple different things. I usually have like a half a cup, but for whatever reason I made like a whole cup. So I was my homemade marshmallows. And this ad came up for PragerU on Facebook. Israel and the Middle East 101. The Israel-Palestine conflict is one of the most discussed and misunderstood topics in the world. PragerU is here to give you the facts that you can make up your own mind. Sign up now for free access to PragerU's Israel and the Middle East 101 video series and our complimentary downloadable ebook. I think they want you to pay for their bullshit, right? Their propaganda. I don't know if this is free or not. PragerU is, Charlie Kirk was associated with that. It's an Israeli shill organization, school, or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. You can donate here if you want to PragerU, because they don't have enough fucking money from their, So that was like the first thing I saw on Facebook. Like there's like one thing and then this ad. Then I went to Twitter and I saw this. France, Israel, Australia, The Daily Wire, PragerU, Turning Point US Gay, Alex P. Jones, Christian influencers, the entire mainstream media, AIPAC, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Big Pharma, and Hollywood. Hollywood versus little old me. Poor Candace J. Owens. And so, hypocrisy exposed. Lionel Nation calls out the right circular firing squad, aiming straight at Candace Owens. Attacking her today means they're coming for you tomorrow. No, they're coming after you tomorrow. Yeah, they are. Fuck you guys. They're coming after you. Lionel goes nuclear on the hypocrisy exploding across the right, my friend. Where is it? Friend. I cannot believe that what I'm seeing unfold right now. The same people who built the brand screaming about free speech who were deplatforming like a badge of honor and who begged us to defend the right to say wild shit, and now lining up in a circular firing squad to silence, exile, and erase Candace J. Owens. Not the left, not the usual enemies, the free speech warriors on our side. They're debating her. They're not debating her. They're not correcting her. They're demanding she shut up, disappear, or worse. Here he is here. Who's this fucking guy?
My friend, I cannot believe what I'm seeing unfold right now. I can't believe it.
I can't fucking believe it. I never thought this would happen. It's fucking crazy. I never thought the right wing would be fucking full of shills and disinformation agents. I never thought so. Why would it happen?
I swear to God, I never thought I'd be talking this much about Candace Owens. And I think to myself, okay, that's it. We're finally done with it. Let's move on. And then something else will happen. Somebody will rise up and denounce her. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what are you doing?
I don't know. They're being paid. They're playing their role.
I mean, she is in the middle of this firing squad, a circular firing squad. In essence, the people who you think would understand free speech more than anyone, the people who have said some of the most stupid things ever that I've defended, and others as well, not defend what they say, but their ability to say it, they're coming out of the woodwork trying to push people out of the way. Let me attack her. Let me stone her. I mean, I can't believe this. I cannot believe what I am watching unfold right now regarding her. I
He just can't believe it. He fucking can't believe it. Candace J. Owens, they can't believe they're attacking her like that. The one thing is, we all know that Alex Jones is a piece of shit. I mean, you guys should know this by now. He's a piece of shit shill. I mean, he admitted that his family comes from the Illuminati, right? You know what? I'll do my Alex Jones memes. I have to remind myself to do them, but I'll say it in a second. But he's always been a piece of shit shill. But this is like career suicide for him. I mean, after, all the things that bullshit lawsuit thing that happened to him where he owes like $1 billion fake fucking dollars, all that shit, right? And so, like all the things that he said over the years, the outrageous stuff, and making like ridiculous claims and then just acting and coming out as a, going into his divorce and his lawyer saying that he's a performance artist so he gets to see his kids, that he's not really crazy. All those demonic rants. And then he's going to go after, everybody's against Laura Loomer and those people, and they're against Israel. Like, you can't walk this back. The thing with PragerU we just saw, do they just not understand the truth community, or this is all fucking some kind of a weird just show? Because, there is an element where human beings, especially in America, like, you can't fucking throw money at things and tell them something when they fucking know, right? When you know something, like, people know about Israel now. And there's nothing that's going to reverse that. Like, and I don't know if they miscalculated or this is a part of it. They want people to turn on Israel or whatever it is. But, you can't just roll out these fucking shills. And again, Candace Owens is, the new Alex Jones, right? She's the worst. Because she's, she is the rabbit hole. But, like, you can't do that to people. Like, they're not going to change their minds. Like, you can't, having all these various people say the same thing over again doesn't work. It's one thing to get people in the beginning and warp them, like, against the Middle East, against them Muslims, to convince them that Muslim terrorists are the evil, and put a Muslim terrorists in movies, and then convince them that Muslim terrorists are your biggest enemies and they want to kill America because of your freedoms, and then work Israel into that equation and get support against Muslim terrorists, by indoctrinating them from a young age. Like every movie, there's a Muslim terrorist, there's a bad guy, every action movie, this kind of thing, right? But, and then just have the media denounce, say all these things about these people. But then once you reverse that, like what happens with truthers, when you reverse your indoctrination, you realize you're being fucking played for years, you can't, like, seal over that thing, right? You can't reverse it. Like, it can't be reversed. When someone finds out they've been manipulated, and again, when it's a collective group of people, the internet ties people together. If it's one person, everyone can have a family intervention and browbeat them and say, basically, we're going to disown you if you don't change your fucking mind on this. It'd be one thing. But it's like the majority of people, that make up this demographic, people on the right, now. I mean, truthers in general, but we already knew. Real truthers already knew, but like people on the right and all these people and all the TPUS gay people and the rest of them, and they're all fucking, they're all committing career suicide because you're always going to be associated with not going along with the obvious, right? There's a point where everybody has to go along with the mob. You have to just go along with it. Like you just, you can say whatever you want to say, but like, you're going to lose all your viewers, this kind of thing, right? I mean, these, big channels, things like that. Like my channel, I can say whatever I want because I'm not, I don't have some huge overhead and whatever it is. But these guys, they need lots of people. They need a big audience. They have to pander to their audience, right? And there's a point where you realize, oh my God, this is going to be, I'm going to lose credibility forever. Like everybody on the wrong side of this thing. And it's not them against Candace, because Candace is whatever she is. They're fucking weird Egyptian plane bullshit, all that stuff. We'll get into that in a moment. And watch it, chua.
We can't. I'm not just saying that. The speed and the ferocity and the hypocrisy of it all and them are staggering.
Who the fuck is this guy, Lionel Nation?
People who built their entire public identity and their money around defending speech and dissent and heterodoxy and platform independence.
All right, this Lionel Nation's fucking really perturbed.
I have to probably say that I have major Masonic roots. A lot of my family, because Texas was pretty much Masonic through and through, was Masonic, high-level Masonic. And they were very, very good people. George Washington was a Mason. And all it is a university study of religions, of philosophy, and of building, and of mathematics, and of agrarian systems. And so what you see as Masons today is just those schools going on. And there have been hundreds of different variants and groups and Rosicrucian orders within the Masons, and the Illuminati, founded in Germany, was a counter-Illuminati to the real Illuminati. And yes, undoubtedly, my family on both sides on the Mayflower, hardcore Protestants, you could say Rosicrucians. This country was founded by real Rosicrucians, not the Rosicrucians you see out there today. And so, undoubtedly, if you want to say it, I mean, I would say I come out of a classical Enlightenment family of what you would call real Illuminati, real Enlightenment. And I'll just say it here on everybody asks me who I am, I'll tell you. There's no secret society. There's no secret messages. There's no secret handshakes.
I don't know how you follow that.
I'm just telling you, man, I am not taking it lying down. I don't know how to do it. I'm not built to suck your dick. I'm not built to bend. I'm built for war, motherfucker. And I will not bow to you. I will God damn you assholes, man.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I don't know what happened to me. I'm so sad. I'm not built to suck your boop. I'm not built for it. I've had to learn how to do it. I'm built for war, even though I'm folding my tent and going home. I've given up. I've quit, but I'm built for war. You effing assholes. You effing mother.
Who's up next?
Effing assholes. Who's up next?
Percent will buy a goddamn tube of toothpaste or or incredible products we've got. Go to drjonesnaturals.com. I'm not bitching. I'm like, you want a revolution, man. You want victory. You want fucking war against fucking tyrants. You fucking got people that are ready to fight, man. I mean, I'm fucking completely war-driven against these people. I've got my earpiece out. I am completely...
Only 1% of my viewers are willing to buy my products. You want effing war? You want to fight this tyrannists? You want to fight them, these MNFers? You want to fight them? You got to buy my products. Buy my MNF products. Buy those products. I need those products sold. I knocked out my freaking earpiece. I hit my head so hard trying to sell my products. I mean, fight tyranny.
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding-dong.
you had me at ding dong. You had me precious.
And so what if there was?
So what if there was? And it's Bill Clinton's. Like let's be clear here. The rumor is Bill Clinton's. And this is just as far as I know, this is 100% fake. Like there's no this thing that somebody made up, and it was on Reddit, the original post, which my wife told me about, and that was deleted the next day, or they erased it, and so it wasn't so the idea, so this was censored, or it never happened, probably never happened, right? There's that gay dude that pretends to the gay dude who mouths Trump's words, which I've showed you videos. I've seen 3 of his videos now. I think I shared one of them. That guy does a great job. But Trump says a lot of gay shit, right? Like all that stuff, especially talking about Arnold Palmer's dong. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to this comedic genius here.
It's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding-dongs.
Now, like, I didn't think you did, but now that you've said that, I think you probably sucked some ding-dongs. Because, when you're denying something, right? Like, let's go back.
Trump sucking a ding-dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding-dongs. But I'll tell you, if they were going to blackmail me to start World War III about one, I'd say, hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose.
Now you're just incriminating yourself more, Alex. You're making it sound like you are like sucking the ding-dongs.
Didn't you already tell Der Spiegel that?
I never sucked any ding-dongs. But if World War III was involved, then I'd be sucking them like as many as I possibly could. I suck elephant ding-dongs, giraffe ding-dongs. I don't care. To prevent World War III, I suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
Now, the son of a bitch walked in there in my own office when I'd splattered stuff on myself and I was changing shirts. He goes, oh, that's a good shot. Let's get your shirts. And then he goes, I go, hey, have some of this chicken and sausage. So technically I said, Jones offered me his sausage. Yeah, give me a break, you son of a bitch. I like women, not men.
Whoa, wait a minute. Let's go back there. So some son of a bitch walks into your office and you offer, you're eating so sloppily, which I can't really criticize because somehow I always get stuff on my shirt. Like I'll get a new shirt and we'll go out to dinner and somehow I get food on it because I can't help myself. I don't know what it is. And so, I can't really criticize him for getting food on his shirt. But some guy, some reporter, walks into his office and he's got chicken and sausage on his shirt and he offers some guy his sausage that he's eating, like off of his plate, which is weird as shit, right? You're just incriminating yourself. Like, like this is, the thing about Trump seems to be bullshit. So, and they're blackmailing, that they're blackmailing Trump with him sucking Bill Clinton's, Bubba's ding dong. And then he starts talking about how he would suck ding dongs if World War III was at stake. And I don't think that, like, those things, I don't think you prevent World War III by sucking ding dongs. I think, that's just something you've made up to give yourself an excuse to talk about how you would suck ding dongs. But then this story just more incriminates him.
I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose.
Didn't you already tell Der Spiegel that?
No,
Der Spiegel.
Son of a bitch walked in there in my own office when I'd splattered stuff on myself and I was changing shirts. He goes, oh, that's a good shot.
He's changing shirts. The guy walks into his office. Some guy from a reporter. He's got he walked into my office and I took my shirt off. I was changing my shirt.
Let's get your shirts. And then he goes, I go, hey, have some of this chicken and sausage.
Hey, I know I'm shirtless. Would you like some sausage and some chicken? I'll give you some chicken and some sausage.
So technically I said, Jones offered me his sausage. Yeah, give me a break, you son of a bitch. I like women, not men. And if I like men, I'd be proud of it.
Yeah, I like women. If I like men, I'd be proud of it. I'd be offered my sausage and chicken everywhere. And my tangy tangerine.
A lot of them. But I ain't ever been in bed with no man. I've been in bed with probably 300 women.
300 women. Some of them have dongs, but they're all women. I don't know how many of them had dongs. Maybe all of them. I don't know. Maybe all of them had dogs. Maybe they all had dogs. They're still women. They're still women, and I was in bed with them. They're beautiful women with dongs. I love those beautiful dong-having women.
You sons of bitches sit
I don't even know this game.
there and you play these games, and I'm sick of it.
I'm sick of these games. I'm sick of these games they play. I'm sick of these guys thinking that the women that I sleep with who have dongs are men. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Okay, so before I move forward to this Israel thing, I just showed this clip to my wife, the Alex Jones stuff. So let's review what he said here, right? So first of all, he said he's never sucked a ding-dong. I mean, he's clear statement. He's never sucked a ding-dong, right? I don't know why he felt like he needed to say that, but he wanted to clarify because maybe people have been, there's some guys out there who would beg to differ, right? And so, he clarifies that. But he said he would be open to doing so. If World War III was on the line, right? So when you say that you don't want to do something, like someone says, hey, would you ever suck a ding-dong? And you'd be like, no, and let's move on, right? Unless, but you don't say it like, hey, would you ever suck a ding-dong? No. Unless, right? Unless what? Oh, World War III. Yeah, so, well, yeah, if World War III was on the line, like, you're now fantasizing about giving yourself permission to suck a ding-dong, right? This is where you're saying, hey, if World War III's on the line and they call me into the Oval Office and they say, Jones, we need you. They called me into the Oval Office. They said, Jones, we need you, man. We need you. I said, what do you need? We need you to prevent World War III. Well, I'll do it. I'll do anything to prevent World War III. Well, get on your knees and suck a ding-dong. I do it. Like, I do it. I do it. I don't want, but I mean, World War III. So that, means that he's having fantasies in which he can, that scenarios that where he can still maintain his heterosexual identity and suck a ding-dong, right? Like, both things. And then he tells a story. Well, his buddy there, Owen Stroyer, or whatever his name is, Stroyer, the guy who got arrested for January 6th, after Alex Jones says that, he goes, hey, remember that time that reporter said you offered to suck his dick? So his own guy's selling him out, right? And so Alex Jones goes, that son of a bitch burst into my office. So there's a guy from Der Spiegel, which is some liberal publication out of Germany. And so I'm not sure even how they get to Alex Jones. But the guy burst into Alex Jones' office, but wouldn't this probably be an appointment? You think the guy just walked into Alex Jones's office, right? And so, he's leaving out part of the story because this is a reporter that's a liberal reporter, and Alex Jones allows him into the building, right? Guy comes into their, they have the studios there that he paid with shekels, much like Charlie J. Kirk, Charlie Shekels, and Donnie half shekels. Alex Jones has been shackled up for a long time, and so he invites this reporter in, and he doesn't wait till he's done with lunch. He's eating lunch, and the guy walks in, and Alex Jones is shirtless because he's got lunch on the table, and he's changing his shirt even though he's still got more to eat, right? He's got a plate full of chicken and sausage sitting there, and some of it's on his shirt. He can't wait for I'll finish eating, and then I'll change my shirt, and then I'll invite the reporter in. He decides to do all three things at once, right? And during that process, he offers the guy sausage. Because Alex is, clear that he said chicken and sausage, and the guy just cherry-picked. But he offers this guy a sausage. And so, in this 1-minute video, we know a lot more about Alex P. Jones than we did before. He comes into my office. He burst in. I'm in the middle of eating and changing my shirt at the same time. I say, hey, you want some sausage? No, no homo. And so, there's that. All right, let's move on to the stuff from Israel.
You know what it's like to go to sleep every night knowing you work for a bunch of psychotic killers and you bastards are probably going to end up killing me one day? You know what it's like knowing you've ruined my life? You know what it's like, you sons of bitches? I'm tired of your crap!
You know what it's like to go to sleep every day knowing you work for a bunch of psychotic killers that's probably going to kill you one day? You bastards, you ruined my life. I want to quit. I want my 401k. Let me get out of this contract.
This is a human. This is what we look like. This is what we act like. This is what everybody was like before us. This is what I am. I'm a throwback. I'm here. I've got the fire of human liberty. I'm setting fires everywhere.
This is a shill. This is what we look like. This is what we act like. This is how you make $165 million. I'm COINTELPRO. I work for the CIA. I'm cutting you out of your money. I'm cutting you out of your money everywhere. We're at war. I've declared bankruptcy. I'm broke. I need your help right now. My body's full of cholesterol, and there's a strange growth on my scrotum. There's only one way to fight this madness, to win this war. You need to buy my products. And you need to do it now, before my head explodes. My blood pressure is too high. I'm on the verge of being thrown out by Illuminati, and they've canceled my gym membership, and I need your money and your support now. I just made a stinky. Roger. Okay, so this guy is, this is where Candace Owens, I went off on her for her goofy fucking bullshit, right? When she rolled out this Mitch Snow fucking guy, before that, when she first told the story. Candace Owens receipts Mitch Snow whistleblower. Candace Owens was right again. A Fort Hatchachua military police report confirms her whistleblower, Michael Snow, was at mission headquarters on 9/9, exactly when he said he was. This makes it look like a staged event. I mean, confirm like this is all, the way that they've unloaded this. This is part of like a, intelligence agent CIA narrative. Like Candace Owens has, they're deep into the fucking rabbit hole. Instead of making this about Israel and Charlie Kirk, it's now, the Egyptian planes folds into this fucking cloud, right? Critics said it never happened. Podcasters mocked it. Influence ran cover. Now there's a law enforcement paper trail. Military police notified at 11:17. Bomb dog. This guy walks into a military base 35 years after his 35-year fucking gag order is up, looking for answers. 35 years going to a military base looking for answers about what happened to him for his other fucking scandal. And he shows up with a backpack and a weird fucking story on a military base. You don't show back up to where you worked 35 years ago and expect like people aren't going to be weirded out. Yeah, I used to work here 35 years ago, especially if it's a military base. And they call the bomb dogs, which is probably pretty much protocol. And there's an incident report, and it looks like this thing is just so that Candace Owens can roll out the incident report. It doesn't confirm anything about his story. Building evacuated, and she said it. Doesn't confirm that he saw the people that he saw, that he said he saw. And even if he did see them, and even if they were there, nothing's going to come of this, right? Like it's just all this stuff that they roll out to make it look like this is this truther version of the show Lost. Another fucking little mystery is solved, and then there's 4 more of them. 4 more are created. Backpack and vehicle searched. Snow transported for further investigation. This was not a story. This is not a memory. This is not speculation. This is a final report. And once again, Candace J. Owens produced receipts. And once again, the people who loudly called it a lie will never be never asked to explain themselves by corporate media or the Mockingbird 2.0 influencers. Isn't that interesting? More to come. Yeah, it's not interesting at all. Like, it's not. Like, when there's an actual factual understanding, and even if you produce the truth, it being acknowledged by the powers that be and people being held accountable. If this kid, the Patsy, Tyler Robinson, if he doesn't get convicted and get the death penalty, whatever he gets, and if he's found innocent, and then they have to come up with some sort of real story about what happened with Charlie. And if this becomes a scandal, right? If like the Charlie Kirk murder becomes a scandal that involves intelligence agencies and the military in Israel, like when that actually fucking happens, right? Because the truth of the matter is Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit. Like it isn't like all these other people are now showing that they're pieces of shit. They were always pieces of shit. And Candace Owens was a piece of shit. She was accepting shekels. Charlie Kirk was maybe the most shackled up person other than Donald J. Trump. I mean, more so because Donald J. Trump had built his business and not really built his business because he was a fucking failure at business, but his brand, without being shackled up. Like he got shekels, but not for that purpose. Not like Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a shekel creation. He got shekels to make TPUSK what it is. And now, he decided, when the people turned against his Israeli narrative, he then had to change his tone on Israel, and whether they killed him or not or whatever happened there. That's the story. Not because he felt bad about the Palestinian Christian kids being killed or any of them. Not that he cared about a genocide, but because he was losing his audience. He's a fucking piece of shit. Charlie Kirk and these all people are pieces of shit. They all take money. They all are fame whores, and they strategize on what truths that they'll and they're told what truths they're able to tell you, right? So they're only truthers conditionally. Conditioned truth on what's best for them and their brand and what their masters and handlers tell them to say, right? That's always been the case. Like Alex Jones is the key in this thing about, this shielded out, shackled up truther. Like it's been known for years that Alex Jones would never say anything about Israel. He was 100% owned by Israel, like years and years ago. When he was at his sort of peak and the truth community was just unfolding. And he was the central hub because he had, he was like the TPUSK. He had all the money. Like Alex Jones could put out a quality show with multiple employees and quality guests when everyone else was just independent people because he was shackled up, right? And so Candace Owens is saying her friendship is driving this, her deep need to, to find her friend's killer. And his friend was a piece of shit that disowned her, disavowed her, chose Israel over her, right? So when she was at her low point, and so none of this stuff is real. Like none of this stuff is, organic in any way, shape, or form. And this guy that shows out of the woodwork, right? Like it's like a bad B movie. Like it's all WWE style stuff that happens, right? I mean, with Trump's Christmas message and all the stuff I read you, like it's just a clown show out there. And it's all for dumb fucks, right? It's all for it's a dumb fuck festival. Like it's just a festival of dumb fucks. Anyways, okay, so the nature of the truth community, the so-called fucking whatever it is you call this, right? Alternative media. If you get big enough that you are on their radar, right? If you get big enough that you're on the radar of the powers that be, most people are going to take the money, right? If they decide, all right, we want to control this person, right? We want to, have this person be handled and whatever it is, by whoever it is, right? Whoever notices you. Like there's all these groups that notice you. I get a number of people that contact me because they want to run ads through my channel and post to YouTube ads. And, I'd be open to doing it. I just don't know how to, I don't know what that would entail. And, I don't want to give up my, have some, unless, they give me ads to run and I have to place them in myself. I don't know what the thing is, right? And, the YouTube ads aren't great, but I don't want to, switch out for, the devil kind of thing, right? I'm not a business person. But somehow these people contact me on Facebook And sometimes they send me emails, right? They recognize my channel getting, significant enough views that they are, are putting that stuff out there. Oh, I just got a notification from YouTube saying my Apocalypse Now channel is going to be demonetized if I don't post things. So I'm going to start posting videos over there that I post here. They'll just be the same videos because they're, I don't want that channel demonetized in case I need it. It's a backup channel. It just would be a hassle for me to have it, and so you'll see that. I'll just start posting things randomly there. But anyways, getting back to it. So, I get some contact from people who recognize that my channel is, a viable channel for them to run their ads, whatever ad programs they have, right? And so, they have ways of noticing and contacting you. My channel's never been big enough to be, I've never got shekels offers. I've never been offered I've never been offered any shekels, right? Where's Paulie shekels? But like with any mob land, criminal organizations, if they notice that you're making a lot of money, they want their piece of that, and they want whatever influence you have, whatever you have that they see as beneficial to them. They just are going to find a way to compromise you. And so most people are going to take the money. If they offer you money, most people will take that. But if you don't take the money, then what do they do then? They can destroy you. People used to ask me years and years ago, are you worried about your life? And I said, no, they'll take away my channel before they, like they don't have to kill you. They can just silence you in one way or another, right? We get to the point where they're taking away people's channels and they're deplatforming people, then you're going to see this. But, my channel was a lot bigger than in terms of views that I got. I used to get hundreds of thousands of views and millions of views. But, my content sucked a lot worse, and it was more accessible to dumb fucks. Like, I made content that dumb fucks could like. So, that's part of it. But what they really did was they just algorithmed most of us. I mean, there's so many truthers, good truthers, that are just gone. And they just, you're swimming uphill, and then, they're not even harassing you personally. They're not even doing anything but just strangling your channel. They're just keeping it from being seen by other people, disappearing your channel. And they did that, and there are other things that people left. But, there was truthers that were good, truthers that they're no longer posting. And, the monetization issues and all that stuff. You don't get compensated for your time. I mean, they have ways of controlling the people in mass. Like, there's lots of truthers out there. And so instead of individually addressing each small channel, they just found ways to deplatform you or, shadow ban you or whatever it is, right? So, like, that stuff all happened. But if you don't take the money, if somehow you make it your bigger channel, if you don't take the money, they can, destroy your reputation. They can, make it hard for you. They can just harass you, and then they can threaten you, and, all the rest of these things, right? Just going down the road, going down the various options. And if they can, if they think it's severe enough that they need to, they could kill you, right? And so, this is how they control things and how they always have controlled things, right? That's why I always say if they put a microphone in front of somebody, they are controlled. You see this with Erica Kirk. Like, they couldn't have whacked Charlie unless they had Erica. Like, Erica was going to be, unless they, disappeared her and they put somebody else up in front of the, but they almost had to make her a part of it, right? I mean, she could have mourned privately, but they still got to own her. They got to make sure she's going to come out and say, yeah, I don't believe the official story. I think he was killed by Israel or whatever it is, right? And so, they have to handle you. They have to own you. And it's a system, this is why I call them the controllers, because they have to control everything, because the system is allergic to truth. A debt-based economic system is allergic to truth. A religion that disconnects you from God, or all religions that are, gatekeepers between you and God, prevent you from connecting to God, is allergic to truth. An economic system that makes you constantly be in a state of purchasing, where you're consuming constantly to keep the illusion going, that disconnects you from your family, that breaks up the family, and and educates you and indoctrinates you through the educational system and the social media, is allergic to truth, right? It's one of the Sajmark fundamental teachings that anything that goes against God's will, there are universal forces that work actively to turn that around, right? To expose that, right? As soon as you start going into the world of deception and illusion, you start lying to people, lying to yourself, and you start, you create your own thing separate from the divine plan. You go off script, you leave your soul behind, right? This is one of the problems that people are always going to have issues with, especially in America, that when you are a saint, you don't really have freedom of choice anymore. When you're a spiritual person, you slowly give up your freedom of choice until it's gone altogether. And you only do what God does. You're a slave to God. You do God's bidding by choice. Like it's not forced. And people don't like that. That's why everyone who claims to be, I love Jesus so much. If Jesus was there and Jesus told you what you have to do, all the things you have to change, and you'd be like, oh, fuck this guy, right? Why do you think they killed him, right? And so, true spiritual people have given up their ability to choose to do the wrong thing. And almost nobody wants to give that freedom up. People want to have the ability to do the wrong thing. They're egos. But when you do the wrong thing, there are divine contingencies, there are divine consequences that immediately try to rectify the situation. And so you have the freedom to choose to do the wrong thing, but then you're working against everything. There's, you set into motion a series of consequences. And so when you create a system that is 100% against God, like it is just, hedonistic and materialistic and ego-based and doesn't align with God's will at all, that system is going to be erased. It has to be rectified. Like we're in the process of rectification of the system. It has to be held accountable for its wrong decisions. The people who run the system know this one way or another, whether they're conscious of it or not, and I have to put extreme efforts of repetition, and I cover this in my book, The Choice, kind of extensively. Through repetition and things like this, they have to keep the lies going, and they have to compromise everybody to their collective consciousness of all the people to keep the system going and make it like too big to fail, and hold the planet hostage for as long as they can. But eventually it's done. Like the system will have to be erased, eradicated, even if it takes extreme measures, right? Like you get to a point where, when you have when you're doing naughty things and you're going against God's will, you kind of comes out, your parents maybe find out or whatever it is, like you're a little kid and, or whatever it might be, even as an adult. And you're like, oh yeah, this is bad. You start having consequences for your behavior, hangovers if you're drunk and things like this, and, real issues. You're drinking too much alcohol, you bet too much money, you get in debt, like things like this. And it's easy to rectify the situation in the beginning. You're just to get back on the right track. You have minimal consequences, and you can rectify the situation. But if you push back the consequences, and you keep on going forward, and you don't deal with the consequences, you don't deal with the problems, and you keep on going forward, now you're into a situation where you could end up in prison, or end up dead, or end up your life is ruined, end up homeless, any number of things. Like the consequences get bigger, right? Bigger and bigger and bigger. And when you have a system like that, you're pushing off the divine consequences. You're somehow minimizing them and pushing them, and you're screwing over future versions of yourself and future generations of people. And someone's going to have to pay for all the fucking misdeeds, right? And so that's where we are now. And so the consequences are like fucking nuclear war, or like the total destruction of a demonic system. And then, people being left with nothing because they don't know how to live any other way, right? My dogs were barking there for a little bit. But, if you go too far, and then it's just like almost complete destruction is the only thing that's left, right? Like if you take it too far, the consequences get too big, right? They're just, you've been pushing back. One of the things the third master Sajmark system talked about, everyone has a bank of pain, right? Like you experience pleasure, and pain goes with pleasure. Like, sorrow goes with happiness. Like there's two sides of the coin. Like you have one, you have to have the other. And so if you experience pleasure, but you push back the pain, like you just have the pleasure, but you find a way of delaying the pain reaction, then you have this bank of pain that, like, by the end of your life, you're miserable. These people who die poorly and have just horrible health, and for the last 20 years of their life, not just health reasons, but like financially, like everything just goes tits up, right? They just, they have all this pain they have to experience, right? And some of that pain gets carried over to your next life. Like you can't experience it all, right? So like people have a way of minimizing the consequences for what they do. And people with money and these things, they can sort of buy their way out of it, but it's still there. They have to, there's no, it's there for you to experience, right? So whatever it is, collectively and individually, we have to experience the consequences for our demonic system and our choices and what we've done to contribute to that, right? And so, like, that's there for everybody. And the people have found ways to delay the inevitable. But all these things are allergic to truth. That's why they have to control everything. They can't let a free flow of information. They can't let people have a connection to God. They can't let people have a real family. They have to make people like completely dumb fucks and also retarded. And then they have to make them. And they have to get people to go down a depraved path, right? Addicted to alcohol, drugs, or pornography, or just all of it. Like just whatever the bad things are, they have to get you to participate. They have to make you spiritually gross, make you egotistical and selfish and these things, right? Like the whole thing has to be, this demonic party, like Caligula, like some kind of like a eyes wide shut fest where everybody's compromised, everybody's, they can't let any truth and light and goodness and accountability, divine accountability into the system, right? It all has to be, pushed back, and it all has to be compromised. So when people are speaking truth on the internet, even if it's, mild truth, if your channel gets big enough or your platform or your, whatever it is that you have gets big enough, they have to find a way to compromise it, right? And they've done a great job of making the internet like so full of crap and so full of disinformation agents and all these other levels of deception. They've done such a great job at that there's truth out there, but like you have to sift through all this other bullshit and all these other bullshit fucking people. And what usually happens is people bounce around, they'll go to Alex Jones for a while, they'll go to, now Candace Owens or, any number of these people, the various, fake truthers like Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, the people on the right, and then whoever else is out there. There's that guy. I don't know what happened to that guy. He used to post shit on Facebook, like sponsored stuff. But he's a very liberal, red-haired guy. Like he was a kind of a hippie, and he made like fake, he was like played a character, J.P. Spears or whatever it is. I think that's the guy's name. And, there are people that tell you little bits of the truth, and they have people on the left, they have these other people. But there's, no one out there that really understands the nature of or cares to tell you the nature of the how fucked we are, and, in terms of our material lives, and what we need to do. And there's only one solution. It's, you have to become a spiritual person and give up a lot of things. And ultimately, your freedom to choose to do the wrong thing, which no one wants to hear and won't do unless they're forced. And maybe people won't do that ever. Maybe the majority of people, or almost everybody, doesn't have the capacity for that kind of commitment to divinity. And so then we'll just be wiped out. Like there's going to be there's going to be an up or down vote. There's going to be a choice point coming up for humanity. And the people are either going to rise up to their higher level. We have, latent, like what people think of as junk DNA, for example. We have hidden potential, like unrealized potential. And it's 100% spiritual potential. And then other things go with that, like, clairvoyance and, being psychic and, just, whatever it might be, like just levels of comprehension and levels of understanding and communication and, connecting to divinity, connecting to what I call the Ethernet, higher levels of consciousness, all these things. And, there's, I don't want to say powers, but powers and things that go with this, and, just having a totally different understanding of powers that can only be used when you have God's orders and permission, right? But things like this that are there. And some saints have demonstrated some of these things, the idea of miracles and things like this. Those are on lower level things, like things that are even much more sophisticated than that. You know, to the point where you could, anything that you think and then apply your will to, which people have on a lower level now of manifestation, but this is something completely different. This is, you know, whatever you think, and you have to be backed by God, otherwise you're fucked, right? Because if you start just using this for your own egotistical purposes, you know, like a genie and wishes, you know, then you've lost your way. You fall like a stone, and you go from being higher than people on the spiritual evolutionary scale, your spiritual path. You go from being farther along than other people to being like a demon and dropping below everybody, right? Like when you become a demon, you have to work your way back up to become a human, right? When you start misusing your divine, you know, your divine gifts for something of a selfish purpose. But for those people who are working for God, anything that they think will become reality. You could change the color of the sky, right? Like you could just do whatever. I mean, you could, you know, only if God gives you permission, you're ordered to do so, but you have the capacity to do anything, right? You could destroy the planet with a thought, right? You could start a war with a thought, like you would just have a thought and it would happen. You know, there was this thing that there was these kind of shitty movies called Almighty Bruce and Almighty something else. The Almighty Bruce was better. It was a Jim Carrey movie. And they weren't great movies, but there was some truth in there. Like he was hearing people's prayers. Like that happens. When you become more and more spiritual, you start, you know, people are communicating to God, and you can hear all that. Like you know, you're connected to that. Like people, you connect to people, like just random people all over the world and things like this, right? You're on a different level of consciousness, and you start feeling the collective pain and loneliness that people have, like the stuff that people are buried away. They don't even feel themselves, and you can feel it on people. You walk through, you know, crowded. I mean, even as people who start to meditate, you become spiritual. You can just feel people's bullshit. You just, you know, walk by somebody and you can like feel their you know, whatever. You hear their thoughts, or you feel their energy and these things, and it's like depressing as hell because most people are just, you know, there's all this bank of unrealized, you know, unnoticed, sealed away misery and loneliness and all these other things. And so, you know, there's all that. But on, you know, the lower level, when we're talking about the truth community, this is why, because the nature of truth and a system that is, you know, allergic to the truth, like the truth is kryptonite to the system. And so they do whatever they can, and now with the internet, they can't do it all. And you have these smaller little, you know, pockets of truth, right? This idea of pockets of the future, but you have these like pockets of truth that are out there. And that, you know, they can't get rid of all of it, right? And people are waking up consciously. Then there's the other part. There's things that happen where people just change and start getting contact, like channeled information. There's stuff that happens in people's dreams, and they just change, and you start seeing things on your own without even some external catalyst. It's good when you get external confirmation, but you start seeing things differently. It's just like the veil gets lifted, and they can do this spiritually. The beings, you know, there's higher developed souls overwatching the whole planet, and they can make anything happen here. I mean, they're like, you know, it's like the Matrix. They could just write something into the code, and, you know, this is an illusion. This is a, you know, a simulation. And they can just, on a spiritual level, just change people. And like you can be downloaded a program like in the Matrix where the guy goes, I know Kung Fu, but like something on a spiritual level where you just, you know, your consciousness is risen to a higher level and you can just perceive things differently. You know, there might be some external catalyst, you know, like a death in the family or something that, you know, a car accident, or it might be something that, you know, like is a trigger to it. But like oftentimes something that's a difficult situation, a crisis, will awaken something, and or someone get really sick, and you come out of being sick, and you're like a different person, and you have higher levels of understanding, and they can't control any of that. And there's, you know, I mean, one of the things would be lots of people just all of a sudden see the world differently, and you can't legislate that out of existence. It's happened internally to people, as much as they want to control things. So there's all these things at play, right? But, you know, these people who are out there in front of you, like Candace Owens and Alex Jones and Megyn Kelly, and, you know, all these people who have, you know, larger platforms, they're compromised in one way or another. Like people who have, you know, a larger audience, they have to be owned by the powers that be. That's why, you know, I always say, you can tell that the channels that are just like, you know, are being propped up. The channels that get recommended, like look at how much stuff is getting recommended to me about Candace Owens on social media, right? Because they want you to look at this controlled battle between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens and the rest of this stuff. Because, they're all compromised and it's all of a lower nature, right? It's just, illusion and rabbit hole bullshit because they don't want you to and it's easy and people talk about distractions and I don't like that word because, distractions mean that they're trying to get you to look away from something, which is on a way truth in terms of they're getting you to look away from your spiritual, your internal soul and your spiritual purpose here. But more importantly is they have to get you, I always say this, the people that control the system are so far gone and are so gross, they really can't manifest things on their own. Like a spiritual person, like I was saying, you become a spiritual saint, like a completely clean person with no, negative samskaras, no, nothing in your system. And you rise to high level. There's two different things. There's spiritual condition, which means, how gross you are, how clean you are spiritually. And then your spiritual approach, how close you are to God. And so you can have a good spiritual condition, but there's a lot of primitive people who were good spiritually, natural people, but they had no approach to God. Like they're just, Aboriginal people that are very pure and very simple, but they don't rise up to higher levels of consciousness, right? Their spiritual condition is good, but they don't have any spiritual approach. There's people who have spiritual approach, but they are often gross and they can't, access the approach because they're not clean spiritually. And so, both things have to be true. But when you have spiritual condition and spiritual approach, you can manifest anything because it's just clean, especially when you're taking orders from God and it's endorsed and it's congruent with what's supposed to happen. Then you just have these thoughts and anything what you think happens, right? But the people who are running the system are very gross. They don't have any ability to manifest things. So they have to get you to do it. They have to get everyone's collective consciousness thwarting away the consequences from our system, right? So that they have to get everyone participating in the illusion. And so even on a truther level, they have to have, these compromised truthers that are there to get you to participate in the system, thinking that you're exposing the system's lies. They have to give this different level now. They're new, they have to factor in the people who are no longer buying the official narrative. So they have to get these other deceptions that are equally damaging, and people who are more awake and more conscious and more activated, because they're pursuing, something outside the indoctrination. They're not just walking around like NPCs and zombies. And so they get you to participate in it. They get you to get angry and hateful and create division and create the animosity and, to focus your collective ability to manifest things to keep the system going in that way, because they have to get you to participate in the deception. So they have second-tier deceivers, right? The fake truthers and all these people that just post disinformation that give a second level of deception to the official story. And the other way they can compromise you is you realize the system's fucked. Like pretty much anybody who's awake and aware, and you do this for a while, there's no fixing the system. You come across some information, like if you're a whistleblower and you're like, oh, there's a bad company and they do bad shit, right? But then you realize, oh yeah, it's pretty much every company, right? Like there's no good guys. There's no, the media's compromised and all the levels of depravity. And you realize that people themselves are so fucked up. Like people are just all fucked up, right? It's idiocracy. People are going in the wrong direction. And so there's only one solution to that, and that's to reboot the whole fucking system, to collapse the system and start over. And when you reboot a system, that's, there's an economic system, there's a food system, there's a water system, like there's all these integral parts. And so if you take down the whole system, and then people are just on their own, right? Like you have to no longer have water coming to your house, and there's no gas being made, and there's no, electricity being generated, and there's no information for you on the internet, and, you can't drive your car, and even if you could, how are you going to get there? You don't know how to drive without, your phone telling you where to go, and like all these things. and people not being able to Google anything, and you're just sitting there, lost in your own, your own idiocracy, right? Your own stupidity, and your own lack of skills. Like I said, when I started a homestead, I realized how much we had lost. When I first started milking cows and doing those things, and I realized, like, people would ask me, what you learned from it or whatever, and I'd say, well, how dependent we are on the system. Like, all the system, doing all the thing, making cream and cheese and milking a cow and growing food and harvesting things and, all these things that, people used to be able to do on their own. It's not hard. Like, you can learn to do any one of those things, but it's the collective doing all of those things and building community and coming together and, helping each other, helping your neighbors and all these things that have been lost, when they either forced people or conned people to leave their farm and do a specialized skill. Like, you now have a few specialized skills and everything else is done for you by the beast. And so you're like you're a zoo animal, right? You're not a complete human being. You don't know how to survive. Like, you don't know how to live. And, there's a huge learning gap when people are weak and depressed. And, what happens when the system collapses and all the people are on psychological meds or physical meds, things that are keeping them alive or keeping them functioning, and people who are self-medicating, and you don't have caffeine, you don't have alcohol, you don't have any of these things, right? You don't have ability to go on Amazon and order something. You don't have you don't have stores with you're just like you're sitting there with nothing, right? No knowledge, no skills, scared shitless, right? And just fighting over cans of food, like cans of dog food or whatever, right? Like, there's no, people just don't know how to live, and they don't know how to work with each other. They don't know how to build a community. They don't have to be in a tribe. They don't have any of these skills, right? And so we're at a very shitty point in our existence as a culture where we can't go back to what we were because we don't have the knowledge and the wherewithal to reclaim our lost skill base and our lost tribe living living human being stuff, and our system's collapsing around us. So we have nowhere to go, and so that's where humanity is, and that's why people will do anything they can to keep the system going, because everyone kind of knows it's like you're fighting for survival. Like, the system collapses, how many people can survive that shit, right? And so, there's going to be some, though. That's what pockets of the future means. There'll be some people that'll be able to survive it. And I may or may not be one of them, or whatever length of time there is. Even if I survive, I only got another 30 years, 20 years here, whatever. It's like, and they're not the good years. They're not the productive years, right? So, there's going to have to be young people. They're supposed to be these indigo children and a spiritual awakening and things. Sure, like, that's all possible. But that's like, there's going to be some rough times between then and now. And nobody really wants to contemplate that, because the wide-scale changes that are going to be forced upon everybody will be overwhelming. Okay, so let's get back to it here. Okay, free hugs. Just kidding. Don't touch me. That's a wonderful meme. And then I saw something on MS Now where Trump posted 150 times on Christmas. So it's Christmas Day, and Trump, and most of it was about, here, this is some kind of, this is their pin thing. Here he is, Caroline Levitt is pregnant with her 70-year-old husband. But most of them were about, we the people want arrests, we the people want prosecutions, we the people want convictions. So there's that. Trump, terrorists are creating great wealth. I support the president. These guys here, MAGA, that's dwindling. And then this is not from Christmas, this is 2 days after. Crime, Trump, Gallup poll, and then we have to get back to Christmas here. Keep on going down here. Trump through social. Now a million more pages on Epstein's are found. DOJ is forced to spend all its time on this Democratic-inspired hoax. When do we say no more? and work on election fraud, etc. The Dems are the ones who work with Epstein, not the Republicans. Release all their names, embarrass them, and get back to helping our country. The radical left doesn't want people talking Trump Republican success, only a long dead Epstein, just another witch hunt. You know, like that fucking, somebody should tell him, like that, nobody believes that, right? Right? Like this is, he reposted that here. There's in me waving goodbye to 2025, knowing we have Trump in the White House. There he is doing a dance. Fucking Trump. There was that one again. So this is what he's posting here. AI slop of himself. This guy, Scott Bessent, that weird motherfucker. There is more of Trump. They repost these things multiple times. She has to admit it's a story of accomplishment. And so let me see what other ones they have on Epstein here. So this is another Christmas Day post. I scroll back to December 25th. He reposted the one about the Epstein Christmas wish, which I read earlier in this video. Tonight, at my direction as Commander-in-Chief, the United States launched a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS terrorism scum in northwest Nigeria, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at a level not seen for many years and even centuries. Okay, so this is a bullshit story because ISIS is an American asset. So they took the Republican Guard, the elite forces from Saddam Hussein, and these guys, when America invaded Iraq, all the Iraqi military just faded. They took off their uniforms, they hid their weapons, and they just went underground, and then they formed these insurgencies. And they couldn't do shit because America military isn't suited for door-to-door fighting guerrilla warfare. They're trained for combating other armies. And so finally they wised up, Obama did, after the Bush debacle, and said, all right, you guys, we're going to give you some oil fields and you're going to become a terrorist organization and give us left cover, keep us here in the war, and we'll supply, you guys will pay for everything with oil, and you guys go wherever we send you, maybe like Nigeria, because otherwise, why the fuck is ISIS all the way down in Nigeria? Why were they in Libya? How did they get out of your country that has, America had a no-fly zone over them because of American occupation, right? They spread all over the place. They were in Syria. Everywhere America needed them to be, they would go. And so this is, a bullshit thing. Innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. I previously warned the terrorists that if they did not stop the slaughter of Christians, there would be hell to pay, and tonight there was. Department of War executed numerous perfect strikes, as only the United States is capable of doing. Under my leadership, our country will not allow radical Islamic terrorism to prosper. May God bless our military. Merry Christmas to all, including the dead terrorists, of which there will be many more if the slaughter of Christians continues. Merry Christmas to all, including dead terrorists, right? So they repost these things, and then there's Biden and Jill, and they have these guys here. The biggest upgrade ever. So I think that was it for, these are all Christmas posts. And he can't stop with the fucking Biden shit either. If it isn't Epstein, it's Biden. And the guy just keeps on, Rudy Giuliani was right all along. Biggest upgrade ever. He just reposts this thing. The Google revealed the assassinated Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk was the top trending search on its engine for 2025. Posted that. And this fucking guy, I don't know who he is. So, here he is with Santa, pulling ice air. This is Trump bullshit. But he posted 65 times here on Christmas. I'm not going to... Pyramid fraud. The Democrat fraud pyramid scam, the man nailed it. All roads lead back to Obama. So this was what he was doing on Christmas Day. Like just Fulton County. Nobody gives a shit about election fraud, right? And Epstein isn't being driven by fucking the Democrats. They've just jumped on the bandwagon because they saw that you were fucking scared of releasing it. Christ is Lord, according to Donald Trump. Silent night, holy night. And there he is. President Trump and Melania spending their Christmas Eve calling children across America to wish them a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all, including the radical left scum that's doing everything possible to destroy our country, but are failing badly. We no longer have open borders, men and women's sports, transgender for everyone, or weak law enforcement. What we do have is a record stock market, lowest crime numbers, no inflation, and yesterday a 4.3 GDP, 2 points better than expected. Terrorists have given us trillions of dollars in growth and prosperity and the strongest national security we've ever had. We are respected again, perhaps like never before. God bless America, Donald J. Trump. All right, so this is the post here. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to read some comments here. Okay, just the two kind of great comments here. And we'll move on till tomorrow or whatever, next video. 7:30. Oh, I'm going to have to go manually just get rid of ads. Like, people have been complaining about how many ads there are. And there's a crazy amount of ads. And like each video I have to do it independently, which sucks. I can X out of some. So, anyways. It sucks I have to do that, but there's no other way around it. 7:30 in the video, 7 minutes and 30 seconds in. Shut up, Paul. The border issue in capital, in bold. Somehow they got to bold it up. Shut up, Paul. The border issue is not being overblown by the right. The illegal aliens are everywhere, even during the winter in small towns of Wyoming, Montana, and North Dakota. You see carloads of them. Where do you live, Paul? Well, I drive regularly through America, and I see places where, what I would consider illegal aliens working, right? Being paid by corporations or local builders or whatever it is. But I don't see carloads of illegal aliens just in cities. I mean, there's people who are, how do you know they're illegal aliens? They could just be, whatever, ethnic people. But either way, it's overblown because, so you live in one of these places. This person maybe lives in Montana, in Wyoming or wherever it was, South Dakota, North Dakota. And you see pictures of the carloads of these people. That's propaganda, dumb fuck, right? Shut up, Paul. But this is my favorite one here. How does this channel run by unfunny charisma that averages several thousand views at best have almost 200,000 subscribers? ? Did this dude buy subscribers? ? Judging by his profile picture, he looks Jewish. I'm surprised he would do that. A mentally ill, illegal drug addict. I'm a mentally ill drug addict, and I'd make better financial decisions than that. Well, here's a comment for his engagement points, and I'm going to press the like button. Thank you, mentally ill drug addict. Thanks for giving me a comment and press the like button. But we don't. Well, I guess he didn't say he's homeless. So here it is. How does this channel run by unfunny charisma and average several thousand views have at best almost 200,000 subscribers? Because there was a time that I had videos that made, when I posted videos for dumb fucks like you, I was getting hundreds of subscribers a day, and I had videos that got hundreds of thousands of views and millions of views. This was right before 2017, 2018, when YouTube started to clamp down. And, I talked about this earlier, about how they basically algorithm all the truthers out of financial viability. And so then, they did two things. One, they wouldn't recommend videos, which is the number one thing they can do. is recommend videos to new people. That's YouTube's one service that they provide for all of us, is that when you look at your feed, YouTube recommends videos, and if they exclude your channel and they don't allow your channel to be recommended to new viewers, you're fucked. The older viewers disappear at some point, and, people don't share, but like, well, how can I get in front of new people if YouTube doesn't recommend my videos to new people, right? And so they used to do that, and they stopped doing it. And then, of course, they didn't notify people when new videos come out and all the other things. But I used to be gaining subscribers, and then I gained subscribers until there's 200,000, and then YouTube just started purging subscribers, and then implemented all these other things. Like, people who have been around here know that happened, right? And so the other thing is I don't make videos for dumb fucks. And so that's why you're having trouble, because I don't know if you were born a dumb fuck, but you're mentally ill and a drug addict. So something's happened. And I think that would affect your ability to appreciate the brilliance of this channel. Judging by his profile picture, he looks Jewish. Well, I am Irish, Italian, Albanian, and German, which I've said over and over again. And, I look like whatever I look like, but that's your misinterpretation. Like, most people think I look Italian. And my last name is clearly Romano, so you would say, all right, that sounds Italian. And I grew up Catholic, so, like, it's, I've been accused of this before. But if I was Jewish, do you think I would make better financial decisions? In the same comment, you accuse me of, like, this is how dumb this fucking person is, right? Judging by his profile picture, he looks Jewish. I'm surprised he would do that. I'm a mentally ill drug addict, and I make better financial decisions than that. So you're accusing me of looking Jewish, but making really bad financial decisions, even worse than a drug addict, mentally ill drug addict, right? And so, you're wrong about everything. And I don't know if it's your mental illness or your drug addict, but you fanned on every fucking accusation. Like, every accusation you could have, like, figured out on your own. Just judging by my last name and the fact that, whatever, right? Like, just the success of my channel. Why wouldn't I be talking more about pro-Israeli stuff and things like this and getting all the loves and all the fake subscribers? Oh, and I didn't buy subscribers, which should be obvious to everybody. I wouldn't do that because it's stupid. Like, I'm not going to buy subscribers because subscribers don't mean anything. Like, I don't even look at the subscribers. There's sort of when the Erica Kirk and the Charlie Kirk thing broke, my channel started to be recommended again a little bit. I started getting in front of new people. I don't know why they did this, but the algorithms changed, and there was a little window of opportunity there. And there's been an influx of new people. And for like a month, my subscribers went up by 200 and something. But usually they go down. They're dwindling. I was up to about 200,003. And then they started to shadow ban my channel. And so subscribers don't mean anything. It's the amount of views you get. You look at the TPUSK. They supposedly have 5 million subscribers. But they're getting, the same amount of views I am. So all that matters is view count. View count is everything. Like, if your subscribers aren't getting notified, or you've bought subscribers, it's just like, you can impress people. Oh, I got this many subscribers. I don't know what good it is. But the thing that's most important to me are the two things are the amount of money I'm making and the amount of viewers I have, like in terms of a business strategy. Anyways, my profile picture is quite beneficial to me in a lot of different ways because I made this into a comedy channel. If I put my profile picture, not the profile, but the one with me and the dogs, if I put that in any video, YouTube recommends like 3 different possible thumbnails. And that's always the center one. Like, if I use that image, YouTube's algorithm thinks that's the best possible thumbnail for my video. Because it's got dogs, my mouth is open, which seems to be some big fucking thing for them. I did this purposefully, and I wanted YouTube to look at my channel as a comedy channel, because it is, but, and it's a serious, there's serious stuff here, but the comedy channel is better for me, and that's why I've pivoted in that direction. because of the, it helps remove some of the shadow banning when I'm not trying to be a serious truther, which, there's always been comedy here. But that picture helped with all those things. It helped, whatever, when YouTube's bots are judging my channel, that stuff all plays in my favor. So it's actually kind of a brilliant thing. It was, as calculated as I could be about the situation. The idea came to me, and like I said, YouTube loves that picture in terms of making it into a thumbnail. There's certain pictures. There's one picture, like if I post, I have this like Illuminati, like, what do you call it? Like a compilation of images that I have. And there's an image of Mr. Burns, and he has the one eye and the dollar bill over one eye with the pyramid of the capstone. YouTube loves that picture. Whenever I put that playlist in, or whenever I use that picture, YouTube recommends that as a thumbnail. There's certain things that their algorithms judge, and what's going to be an effective thumbnail. And they definitely like anything with your mouth open. That's like a big thing. And then some other of these things. Anyways, all right, well, let me wrap this one up here. Only spirituality will save this world. Its power model definitely points to the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.